Hey everybody, my name is Seth Jones. I'm editor-in-chief of Landscape Management Magazine. We're trying something new today. We're trying to do some Zoom interviews with some of our readers and some people around the country. My first guest today, he is the GM and owner of Long's Peak Landscape in Longmont, Colorado. You might recognize him from the February issue. I did a 5 questions interview with him, but he was actually in the magazine before that. He was on the cover of the January issue, conveniently holding his hat in one hand and then I think giving us a hang loose in the other. So if you're a sharp-eyed reader, you'll be able to see him. It's my great pleasure to welcome Mike DePriest. Mike, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for inviting me. And yeah, this is our new normal. Everyone's a Zoom meeting now, so
Exactly.
good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you. So give me the update. What's going on in Colorado? What are you guys seeing?
I think Colorado is one of the lucky states right now that still views landscape work as essential, and so we're able to keep busy. I'd say the majority of the companies out there are still doing their normal services as far as construction and landscape maintenance services. We internally had a stay-at-home order that mandated everyone stay at home basically for the whole month of April. We as a company chose internally to kind of decide what was best for our people, and we ended up shutting down our operations for about 10 days, trying to make sure that we understood what was going on and all the safety protocols that we could put in place. And we took that 10 days to really kind of get our company ready to go back to work. And so this last Monday was our first day back after that 10 days off, and we're operating completely differently. I mean, we had to reinvent how we did everything.
What kind of safety protocols have you installed?
Well, typically we had about 14 people in our shop and office on a daily basis. We've got that down to 4 to 5 people now. That actually show up to our facility every day, and that's 2 mechanics and 3 people in the office. So we were kind of running out of space prior to this, and now we have everyone that can work remote doing as much of that as possible. Operationally, we used to have 75, 80 guys show up at our shop in the morning, usually about the same time. We do a stretch and flex, kind of go over our goals for the day, safety agendas, and then we'd send everyone out on their day. Now we've currently changed that protocol to where we have 1 crew at the shop at a time, and everyone that can go directly to their work is now going and doing that without coming to the shop and to the yard at all. So really the only crews that are showing up to the shop right now are our landscape maintenance crews and our PHC crews. And we're staging those on a 15 or 30-minute interval so that there's not multiple crews at the yard at the same time.
Talk to me about your customer base, your clientele. How are they reacting to this? What have you seen in that?
Initially, we didn't see anything, and I think it was more of a byproduct of people trying to figure out what was going to happen, and I think we became lower priority on their overall needs assessment. But once they started to realize the economics of what was happening, we're seeing a lot of our maintenance customer base that's making some pretty drastic reductions in scope. We're pretty much exclusively commercial on our maintenance side, and a lot of our businesses are really struggling right now, especially in the food service and the big box commercial. They're pretty much all shut down, so everyone's looking to reduce budget and scope, and so we're modifying our agreements and trying to help get that figured out and maintain some professionalism and appearance of their properties. We've still been successful in finding customers that want to do and need to do enhancement type projects. So we're still optimistic that we can have a good year doing those type of project improvements. And then we're finding a lot of people that are currently home and working from home are becoming acutely aware that they'd like to do some improvements at their residences. So we're getting some more calls for that. And then our commercial construction pipeline, I think that workload is, there's a lot of money into the infrastructure to get to the finish line on those projects. So I think they're pushing pretty hard to to get those done. So right now I'm not seeing any drop in our commercial installation backlog. So
good. How's the crew handling this? I mean, have they gotten used to it by now?
No, no, it's hard to get used to. People keep wondering when the finish line is going to hit. And, you know, I think it's setting in that this is more of a marathon than a sprint. And this is probably our new reality. You know, initially we had a couple cowboys that didn't think this could touch them. And we made it known real quickly that, you know, that's not acceptable. We're not putting everyone at risk because you don't believe in it. All of our guys are wearing, you know, neckies whenever they're within 20 feet of each other. We're keeping no more than 2 people per vehicle, but ideally 1 person per vehicle where we can. So we're challenged with that right now, is getting some of our guys to the work, especially on the landscape maintenance side where they have multiple stops per day. I think everyone understands that this is real and this is the new reality we live in. And if we don't take it seriously, it's probably going to affect, you know, someone we know. So
yeah. Mike, what's your mentality then? I mean, you started this company when you were in high school, basically, and you've gotten into it and you've grown it. And I know you were looking to grow this year, and then something like this kind of just comes out of left field for everybody. How have you stayed? How has this affected you in terms of being a leader?
It's been really challenging. You know, we had a 12-month plan that we were executing, you know, and that did involve some significant growth, you know, several new hires at high level positions. So, you know, it's kind of the start of March, middle of March, we kind of had to revisit that and decide if we were going to continue to try and push that trajectory through this adversity. We're in control of our destiny, and we're choosing to view this as a positive thing. We were kind of running out of space in our office, and now we got a bunch of space. Some of our guys are actually finding that their efficiency's increased working remote, just without the distractions of the normal office. So we're trying to spin this as positive as we can. And, you know, I think the people that focus on the negativity end up having negative outcomes, and we're just, you know, we're optimistic, we're hardworking, and so we're going to keep working hard to make our company better. And, you know, it will be a different year than we had planned on, but we're going to try, you know, at this point anyway, we're allowed to work. We feel like, you know, we're not in a very dense populated area, so we can spread out and keep our guys safe. And we're going to try and follow our original trajectory for the year as close as possible. And right now, it appears that we're going to have the majority of the work to do that. It's just going to be figuring out how to operationally keep people safe, keep our clients safe, and manage the business in a totally different way. So it's been challenging, but, you know, we're choosing to be optimistic, and we're choosing to make our company better. And I think with that mindset, we're going to come out of it on the right side.
Good. From what I know of you, you're a pretty positive guy. What does this mean? What's that on the cover?
Hang loose. You know, that's, you know, the universal sign, and there's no contact with it. You know, the fist bump spreads the virus. So.
So you're doing a lot of these then right now, huh?
Exactly.
Cool. Mike, hey, appreciate you taking the time and chatting with me today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, everybody. Back again with my next guest. I'd like to welcome Zech Strauser. He is the president of Strauser Nature's Helpers in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. His company provides 75% maintenance and 25% design build services to an 80% commercial, 20% residential clientele. Zech, thanks for taking the time to chat with me today.
Yeah, thanks, Seth. Appreciate it.
Before we get started into the nitty gritty, tell me, what's it like in your neck of the woods up there in Pennsylvania? What's going on? What's work? What are you able to do? What's the climate like?
Well, weather's been cooperative, so that's a good thing. And obviously it's full-fledged spring. We have actually started cutting lawns. This week will be our first week of cutting lawns down in our southern market. I guess the general climate of business is some contract changes, but not a tremendous amount so far, but some decline. And I think overall, we are highly working on communicating with our team, and the team is highly communicating with our clients and vendors, and there's just a ton of meetings. I'm sure you know that. I think, never had so many meetings in our life, right?
I know. It's way too easy to schedule these Zoom meetings, you know. So you guys made an interesting decision where when everything started going, you know, middle March there, you decided to shut down operations for 2 straight weeks. Talk to me about making that decision.
Yeah, it was, I'd say, not an easy at first, but once I came to some clarity on focusing on some, the best leadership I could have through this, I kind of came to the terms to myself. I said, look, we really have to focus on, what is the number one thing we can focus on for the team and for the people side of things, which was, I said, we have to shut down. Because we were out at the time, the first 7 to 10 days of this, there was debate on essential or not essential in the state. But while there was debate, we were still continuing to move forward. But it was hard to slow down our current old behaviors without that shutdown. So what we decided to do was, let's shut down so we can do a reset button, get our PPE, our new safety policies, our new roll-up, what services are we going to do? And also there were some contract changes. Customers were calling wanting to change some things. So we really worked as a management team, and we laid off some of our frontline team for 2 weeks, basically relayed them off because they're in partial layoff in the winter anyway. So we kind of kicked back down and did a reset button and rolled out the new plan as of this past Monday. So this is our 4th day out rolling with the new plan.
Tell me about the new plan. What's new?
So, I know, kind of seems like everyone probably has their version of their, new safety policies going out. So that was a big part of kind of what we focused on. And we also focused on crew restructure, meaning, if we had a 6 or 9 man crew or person crew that did a property, and one day before, we actually went to, well, they're going to be there for 4 days and it's going to be 2 or 3 people. So we did a lot of what we call direct report to sites, because the 1 person per truck, I think, is the biggest kicker in all our new systems. Obviously, other than trying to get a bunch of landscapers to be high on the hygiene and cleanliness level of cleaning everything all the time, like we're doctors or something. So to control that's one thing, but I think the biggest challenge was to roll them out with 1 person per vehicle. So we had to put some new resources, get some rental vehicles in, use other vehicles. But what we did was we formed out a direct report to site program and a stop and go program. So we have on our stop and go program, where we're going to smaller properties, we have 1 person driving the crew truck, 1 person a trail truck. On the big crews, everyone reports to the site, and the crew leader comes in separate. And on those direct reports, we have porta-johns, washing stations, golf carts now, so the people can move around on golf carts and sanitize that quicker than getting in and out of a truck. Okay. So that was the biggest kind of shift that we made in the sense of the last 2 weeks, just rolling that plan out, communicating with the customer, hey, your property used to get done in 1 day, now it's going to be 4 days. So overall, that's going pretty well. Like any plan, it's on paper. You train them, you test them in it, you put them out, and then you're starting to see the problems, and we're starting to correct those. So really now we're going to correct and kind of inspect what we expect kind of situation. Now the next rollout is, let's focus on the business, which is budgeting, which is overhead costs, which are sales approaches, resetting up how we're setting up customer sales calls. Kind of that's like the next phase that we're working at, which is, we'll call it the business side, right? At first it was the people side, get them out safe. Now monitor and inspect and tweak that. Now let's get to the business side and start to focus on that too. So
I've heard that a lot in in the conversations I've been having. It's people first. How are we going to keep these guys safe? What are we going to do? Yes, obviously that's vital for anybody. And then something else you said that caught my ears is about when you made the commitment to close for 2 weeks, that you looked at the leadership of serving as leader of this company and how are you going to go forward with this, and you made a decision and you went with it. How hard has it been to be a leader in this time with something that none of us have ever dealt with before?
So it's kind of funny when you just asked that. You almost get emotional, chilled in a sense. And I think it's never been harder and it's never been more gratifying or easy. So it's kind of like we're all in a fear cycle, and it's kind of how long do you stay in the fear side of the cycle, or do you get bounced out and get on the side of action and get on the side of moving forward. And I think from my leadership side, the one key thing I did, and I touched on this the other day, and you and I were just talking about it a little bit, is the leadership. I took a 3-day course with John Maxwell on Facebook. It was a live 3-day, 1 hour a day session. And it was amongst a million peer support. We've been on meetings. I mean, peers in this industry are one of the strongest assets we have in this industry. I say it almost every day, I think, to someone in a conversation, that this industry is plentiful in peer-to-peer. It's just amazing. I think our industry really exists because of the support we get from company to company. But the John Maxwell session, there was 6 key points that we went over. And, he started out with leadership is influencing nothing less or nothing more. And how am I going to influence this team? And I feel that, I've been in business 22 years. And I said, man, this is, there's been blizzards, there's been snowstorms, there's been bad economy in 08, 9, 10. There's been times I've been challenged and had to lead through adversity. But I said, I think everything I've ever done up to today is really going to test how well I do in the next, however long period of time. So I really started, focusing on what's important. And the number one thing in his session, which was, obviously we know this, but when one of the leaders in educating how to work with people, John Maxwell, says it's people first. And when you start to lead from that, kind of makes things pretty easy. And then we had to educate ourselves. I don't even think I knew what the World Health Organization was before he said, because he said only use WHO. So I went on WHO. I didn't even know what the WHO website was. I'm trying to educate myself on what's going on with the pandemic at the most non-biased level. So I've turned off the Foxes and CNNs and limited my exposure to Facebook to really make sure that as a leader, I was not falling into fear traps. And all those outlets are a really easy way to fall into a fear trap, at least for me. Some people use it as whatever, but I looked at it as that. Those are fear traps for me. So I got to get out of that. Being flexible was our number 3 thing that we went over. And again, I have these written down 3 inches from the right of my computer that I'm pretty much looking at them on every single phone call I'm making. So I watch what I say. So I watch my behaviors. My behaviors, whether I'm with my team physically or not, I'm under a microscope. I'm just under a microscope on my computer screen, I guess.
Yeah.
So be flexible was the 3rd item.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good. Zach, nobody knows what, there, like you said, you got to shut out some of the noise once in a while, and no one knows what the future is going to hold on this thing. But I'm just curious if you've thought about what it means for your business and how moving forward, any anticipation that you're making, any predictions, anything that are that you're trying to. I mean, you're renting a bunch of trucks, you got golf carts now. You're already doing a lot of things that weren't normal just a month ago.
Some of those things will stay normal. I know that. I know a lot of these changes will stay normal. And I also believe that there are so many things that we were supposed to be focusing on before, and they're all coming out, whether it's personal or professional. We're seeing like, oh, geez, I should have been healthier, I should have been eating better, what all the way up to your financials or your debt's not right, or whatever it is. So I think where if I was to look out, I think it's 12 to 24 months of getting worse in some ways, and opportunities are going to increase in other ways. So it's kind of, how do you balance that? And that's going to be the trick. No one can say it's not going to get worse over the next year. I mean, I think it would be crazy to say that. Then I also think that we'd be crazy to say it's going to get worse and we're doomed over the next 12 or 24 months. So I think it's looking for those opportunities. If I went like on a medium scale, I'd say, I think in general sales will be down for us, but I also think strategy on cutting costs and tightening up will be up. So do they kind of balance each other out? It's really hard to predict. I do know that I'm starting to look at what does the 2021 business plan look like. And, I've wanted to make some implementations in my business that I really kind of wasn't facing. And I think that I'm going to be able to do that and kind of roll out a new business plan that's going to kind of move things around a little bit. So for the better, to move forward. So
good. Okay. Zach, hey, I appreciate you taking the time, and we've got more with you on our website. If anyone's interested in, we have an interview on our COVID-19 tab where we talked to Zach and did a longer story. So visit landscapemanagement.net for that. Zach is the president of Strauser's Nature Helpers in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. And Zach, I gotta say, keep up the good work and best of luck to you guys.
Likewise, keep getting the good stories going, and thanks for everything you guys do too.
Absolutely. Appreciate that, Zach. Take care. Okay, so my next guest comes to us from Greenscapes LandCare in Worton, Maryland. We first met him at a Marty Grunder event a couple years ago, and we've since seen him around. And in 2019, the NALP named him the Young Entrepreneur of the Year. It's my pleasure to welcome Casey Hurd. Casey, good to see you again, bud. Thanks for coming on and chatting with me.
Yes, you too. Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
So just to start off, Casey, tell me, what's life like out in Maryland right now? What's going on?
Right now we do have a mandatory stay at home right now. All non-essential businesses are closed, but we are considered essential in the state of Maryland. So we're still operating. We still have our same numbers of crews, still plugging along and moving forward. We are strictly maintenance right now. We're not doing any new installs or anything, but we're getting by.
So what's changed there for you guys? How are you working differently? Tell me some of the things that you guys are doing.
A couple different things, obviously. Social distancing, where everybody has to stay separated. In our morning meetings, we're all 6 foot apart on the circle. We do have staggered start times, so we're not all in here at once. We also switched crews up a little bit. If guys rode together or lived together, those guys are now on the crew together. Mm-hmm. Kind of a little bit different, taking some guys that were strictly hardscape and putting them on a turf crew. So it takes a little more challenge, a little more training. All the guys were given types of masks, basically homemade shirts and masks. Mm-hmm. They all have jugs to wash their hands with soap and water. Keeping up with our mowing and our maintenance is tough, considering we've downsized crews and kind of split people up. So
good. Casey, you're obviously an active person in the industry, and you've been to plenty of educational sessions and whatnot. You started your company as a one-man operation to what it is today. Is this how is this? Did you ever see a curveball like this coming to you? And what's your attitude on it?
Yeah, I can't say I ever predicted anything like this. My attitude is we just got to adapt and keep pushing forward. It's a challenging time, but there's things that we can learn from it, things we can take away from it, just keep moving forward. So when I started my company, I started in 2010. It was right after 2008. So we started kind of in a bad time getting going. So I always knew I wanted to fall back. And one thing that we do have is maintenance right now. If we were construction only, that'd be a little difficult. So we are diverse and set us up that way, which kind of helps, especially in times like these. So
good. How has the crew been with adapting to the new normal? Or did it go pretty smooth, or are they still kind of finding their way?
No, it went pretty smooth. I think everybody was a little shocked and scared at first when it first came out, but now it's just kind of a new normal. It's still good morale, and it's kind of smaller now in the mornings when we get started. We don't have 25 guys. It's 5 or 6 at a time, so it's a little more personal. But yeah, I think as long as I stay positive and everybody else stays positive, we can keep getting things done.
Good, good. What do you think is going to be, obviously no one has a crystal ball on what the future holds and how long we're going to be in this, but is there anything that you're doing to kind of anticipate what the summer season of 2020 might be like?
We're still hoping to get everything accomplished. We're just pushing it off. We're reaching out to all of our customers saying, especially things we had scheduled, let them know we're still here. We can help them still try and sell work. We're just going to push through the summer. I don't think would be a bad thing. Usually we slow down a little bit in July and August when it's hot, but sales are still pretty good. People are home. People are calling us. We're getting a lot of calls during the day asking for work and proposals. And we'll either meet with them on the phone, FaceTime, go out and look at it and send them proposals so we don't have to go be face-to-face with them. And we're still selling work. So
Good.
Even if we can't complete it now, hopefully we can complete it at the end of the year.
Good. So let's touch on that just a little bit more too. So what's the attitude? We talked about the attitude of the crew. What's the attitude of the customer? Have you seen any trends there?
Just more new customers, really.
Okay.
Most of them are. A lot of customers are, they're home. They're looking for things to do. They're in their gardens. A lot of people are home gardening. It seems like they're looking for ideas to spruce up their gardens. There's not much. If they're a mandatory stay at home and they're sitting there looking at their gardens, they're thinking about projects and reaching out to landscapers. So and their attitude in general has been pretty good.
What are you and the family doing to keep yourselves occupied?
Working on the farm.
Yeah.
The girls are home. My girls are home with my wife. She's home. So we started a garden. We actually picked up some chickens the other day. So I go home every day to take care of the kids, and for about an hour, I give my wife a break, and we go outside and we play. We work in the gardens. We landscape. We set up a little irrigation system. And
fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
Casey. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Good seeing you.
Good to see you. Everybody, this is Casey Hurd. This is Greenscapes LandCare in Worton, Maryland. And Casey, good checking in with you. You guys stay healthy, stay safe, and keep up the good work out there.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.